this notification. I click on it and I read it and I read it again. And I clicked the profile to make sure this wasn't a fake account, that this was the real Simone Biles calling me a truly sick, disgusting bully. Like, even still, I'm in disbelief over this comment.
So this is a story that I feel like would normally probably get bigger attention, especially in like the social world and the social climate we live in. If it wasn't for the fact that LA is literally on fire right now, that's pretty much taking over every kind of news site. It's the talk of everything. LA riots, LA protests, however you want to word it. That's controlling the news cycle right now. Trump, Gavin Newsom. What was really overlooked, which it was touched on briefly, is the whole feud between Riley Gaines and Simone Biles. Now, Simone Biles, after all this time beefing with her past 3 or 4 days, she actually came out and apologized. So we're going to get to that. First, I kind of want to give a little summary of how it got to this point for those of you who don't know already, if this kind of got glossed over for you too, because you've been too busy watching people have fun, watching cars burn, as ABC worded it. So let's just kind of dive in here. So it all started June 6th, so was that Thursday or Friday, when Marissa Rottenberger, a biological male, helped a high school girls softball team win the championship. So this is, people probably 16, 17, 18 years old. And it wasn't just this game. Like, this pitcher pitched like 3 complete games in a row, which is insane to do by itself. So he pitched a shutout in the Minnesota girls state championship game to help them win. Clearly an advantage there. So Riley Gaines posts girls sports in 2025, a 6-0 shutout by a dude named Marissa, back to 100% by Minnesota Dems. Progress. Because, I mean, as we all know, this is Tim Wall State. He supports that stuff. So she goes on to share the championship picture, and Riley Gaines goes, comments off, to be expected when your star player is a boy, which is definitely a clear advantage. So people, Simone Biles jumped into the ring. She goes, Riley Gaines, you're truly sick. All of this campaigning because you lost a race, which she tied to Leah Thomas. Straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports, maybe transgender category in all sports. But instead, you bully them. One thing's for sure is no one in sports is safe with you around. So Simone Biles came out of nowhere with this. As far as I know before this, she's never been big on talking about the trans in sports, anything like that. So this kind of came out of left field. And what's pretty crazy too is like when she's wording this thing. So other people have said this before too. Maybe we could create like a transgender categories. The only issue with that, for one, depending on where you're at, there's probably not enough of them to fill like a league or a team, whatever you want to call it. And two, I don't think many of them would actually want to be in their own category. I think the whole point of this whole quote inclusivity moment is because they want to be accepted in the gender they feel like they are. So if you put them in their own category, they're just going to be like, what do you mean I'm not this person? Like, what? So I don't think that would work. So I sorted these comments by likes to make it a little more fair. And she's getting roasted in the comments. So Riley Gaines obviously responded, this is actually so disappointing. It's not my job or the job of any woman to figure out how to include men in our spaces. You can uplift men stealing championships in women's sports with your platform. Men don't belong in women's sports, and I say that with my full chest. This dude, Taylor Silverman. If Larry Nazar came out as trans, would you want him moved to a women's prison? Now, this is an interesting comment because a few other people have said something similar, and people are saying, "Oh, that's messed up. That's messed up to bring up." But it's reality, though. Those kind of people exist. So, for those you don't know, Larry Nazar was the doctor for the gymnastics team who sexually abused like 100 different gymnasts or something. He would like put them to sleep and abuse them. And This is reality. There's men like that in this world. That's why women want their own safe spaces. Retired athlete who never had to compete against men wants little girls to idolize her to have to compete against men. Like, did you quit on your teammates in the middle of this tweet? Horrible take. I hope my daughter doesn't see this. Like, they're all just roasting her. You know, it's not just right wingers like they're trying to say it is. These are people that just don't like this. This is a really dumb take. So she also made a comment, which is funny too. She's made a comment saying, bully someone your own size, which would ironically be a male. So at one point, she's saying, oh, we need to include trans people in this and be respectful. And then at the next point, she's saying, oh, you're the size of a man, which is completely like contradicting her views. Like, she's literally admitting that men have biological advantages against women in that tweet. And I don't think she realized that she said that. So Riley Gaines shared this. So she said, this is disappointing. My take is the least controversial take on the planet. Simone Biles being a male apologist at the expense of young girls' dreams. Didn't have that on my bingo card. Maybe she could compete in pommel horse and rings in 2028. So from my understanding is rings and pommel horse are men-only gymnast events. I honestly had to look that up. I don't know much about gymnastics. And then Riley Gaines commented on this saying, and a subtle hint at body shaming. Please, I'm 5'5". So according to Simone Biles, 5'5" is the size of a man, which coming from a man, I don't consider 5'5" men real men. You're basically a midget. So I think the average height for a man is like 5'9". So you're well below average. So Maze, she's an ignorant racist bully. I stand with Riley Gaines. It's pathetic watching her make excuses. Let's have a boxing match with her and Mike Tyson. Yeah, so basically, she's just absolutely getting roasted. Simone Biles, absolutely getting roasted for this horrible take. So, of course, you immediately have everyone on the left coming to her defense immediately. This was like a couple hours after everything's happened. They already had an article that Simone Biles shows her greatness again in standing up for the transgender community. Yeah, so that's, you can see already how they're defending her. And then let's look at an unhinged TikToker named Chris Mowry. You guys might know him best from the whole Harry Sisson drama. Let's see what he says.
Simone Biles and Riley Gaines go at it on Twitter this week, but people do understand that Simone Biles is in the conversation, right? Like the greatest athletes to ever exist conversation. The LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, Djokovic, Messi conversation. There is no question Simone Biles is the greatest gymnast to ever touch a mat. That's undeniable. The question is whether she's the greatest athlete of all time, which there's a debate for. So when people talk about her and her sports accomplishments in the same light as Riley Gaines, who? It's crazy. Now I understand. This obviously relates to like a massive amount of transphobia, hate against the LGBTQ plus community, and just general misogyny. As again, people like, you would never see a dude comparing LeBron James to some like their 6-year-old nephew Steve. That shit is crazy. But as we have these conversations about sports, I'm gonna always take the word of one of the greatest athletes to ever exist over whoever the fuck Riley Gaines is. Who? Crazy.
So that's Mr. Chris Mowry, and him, just like every single liberal on the planet, completely misses the point of this whole debate. Nobody is saying Simone Biles is a bad athlete. Everyone knows she's an Olympic gold medalist. Nobody's talking anything bad about that. What they're missing the point of is she didn't have to compete against men when she did that. She competed against women. Riley Gaines has experience competing against men. She doesn't want other girls to ever have to go through that. That's what people don't understand here. And then also, if you actually hear more about Riley Gaines' story and other women that had to deal with the whole Leah Thomas situation, they had to be in the same locker room together. Leah Thomas, at that point in time, had not had any surgery yet. So everything was out. They had to change in front of him. And the school basically said, if you have an issue with this, you're not going to swim here. Which, most people, if they're playing sports in college, they're probably on a scholarship. So they didn't really have a choice. And that's what people don't realize. It's not just about it. A big part is the sport, but when you factor those other things too, it's just a big deal. And people like Chris Mowry, Harry Sisson, and everyone on the left, like people at USA Today, completely miss this point of it. And and then one thing that people were bringing up is how Simone Biles basically body shamed Riley, saying she's the size of a man. And apparently she was a big part of a body acceptance thing. What is it says? Simone Biles once took part in a body positivity campaign where she spoke positively about her muscles in an effort to inspire younger girls to love their bodies. Let's take a listen.
I wish people would stop asking me is, how tall are you? Are you going to grow? I'm not going anywhere. I'm 4'8". I'm
Oh my
stuck.
gosh, you're 4'8".
I'm Simone Biles and I love my body. It helps with gymnastics and it teaches younger girls to love their bodies as well.
So you get the point. It's a whole like, oh, let's love our bodies and stuff, And then here, to kind of just show how short Riley Gaines is her standing next to Leah Thomas. And as you can see, Leah Thomas towers over her. It's not even close. So then we get to the point before the apology, actually. I have one more thing I want to bring up. This was a tweet of hers that's still up, by the way, from 2017 that says, good thing guys don't compete against girls or he'd take the gold medals. And she's referring to another Olympic gymnast who's a man. So 8 years ago, she felt this way. Now all of a sudden doesn't. And actually, Riley Gaines actually went on Piers Morgan to give a little reaction to everything. It kind of explained like her whole thought process going to it. So here it is.
So I was just about ready to put my phone up for the weekend, and I get this notification on X. Something says, Simone Biles tagged you in a post. I was in disbelief over this because I am someone who has admired and respected Simone Biles for so long, Piers. We watched her compete, in 2024 and 2028 and 2016. Consider me an 8-year fan of Simone Biles, all the while knowing she's, of course, very liberal. That didn't matter to me. I still think she's the GOAT of all time in her sport. So I got this notification. I click on it and I read it and I read it again. And I clicked the profile to make sure this wasn't a fake account, that this was the real Simone Biles calling me a truly sick, disgusting bully.
It even blew her mind that she had to verify over and over again to make sure it was the actual Simone Biles account.
Even still, I'm in disbelief over this comment, not even because of the personal attacks. And we can talk about what she then went on to post next, basically body shaming me, saying that, bully someone my own size, which would ironically be a man, which again is hilarious for two reasons. Number one, she's acknowledging that men and women are physically, biologically, categorically different. But also number two, Piers, I'm 5'5". I'm 130 pounds. I would describe myself as very, very standard. Yes, I have muscles, as most athletes do, but I would imagine.
Not as big as hers.
That's my thing. I would have imagined that if anyone would understand that, it would be Simone Biles. Again, a woman who has historically advocated for body positivity. She's been a part of several campaigns. That is not at all what we saw. So I was in disbelief over this. Even still, I can't make sense of why she did this. Why in the year 2025, this is the stance that she would take. I can't imagine she actually believes it. Being an elite level gymnast, right? Like gymnastics, men and women's gymnastics, it's not even the same sport, essentially. All right, you don't have the rings, you don't have pommel horse in the women's, you don't have the beam in the men's. It's a totally different sport. So I can't imagine she believes this. So then I think the question is, why?
Well,
why did you take this?
That's a good point too, because why would you randomly come out about this now? Like Riley Gaines has been saying stuff like this for years now. There's been this whole debate of this topic in just the political world for years now. Why all of a sudden now?
Well, it's interesting. what was interesting to me was, aside from the ad hominem attacks she made on you, and the body shaming was particularly offensive, given she has positioned herself as a campaigner against body shaming women. What I thought was interesting was, buried away amid all the kind of attack, and talking about uplifting the trans community, no desire to uplift the integrity of women's sport, I noticed. But she said, perhaps find a way to make sports inclusive, or create a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports. Again, absurd in the sense that she's not, doesn't seem to care about making women's sport and women feel safe in their own sport, all about trans. But she said maybe a transgender category in all sports, which I thought was an interesting admission. So around all this attack on you, there was Simone Biles, one of the great female American gymnasts ever, and sports stars ever, conceding that we maybe need a transgender category in all sports. Now, that's an admission that actually you are right, Riley Gaines. So amid all the abuse, she concedes.
Yep.
It's not hateful. At least it's not meant to be hateful. It's clear. It's what we've understood to be reality, at least in America. The past, nearly the 250 years we've been established as a.
Yeah, so you get the point. So it's basically, I still don't understand why Simone Biles did this. So let's get to the apology. So this is right here. Days later, and I'll tell you why I think she apologized. She posts, I wanted to follow up from my last tweets. I've always believed competitive equity and inclusivity are both essential in sport. The current system doesn't adequately balance these important principles, which often leads to frustration and heated exchanges. And it didn't help for me to get personal with Riley, which I apologize for. These are sensitive, complicated issues that I truly don't have the answer or solutions to. But I believe it starts with empathy and respect. I was not advocating for policies that compromise fairness in women's sports. My objection is to be singling out children for public scrutiny in ways that feel personal and harmful. Individual athletes, especially kids, should never be the focus of criticism in a flawed system that they have no control over. I believe sports organizations have a responsibility to come up with rules supporting inclusion while maintaining fair competition. We all want future for sport that is fair, inclusive, and respectful. So this is her apology, which people roasted her in the comments for this too. So people say like, oh, I see you hired a crisis PR firm to write a statement using ChatGPT. There are complicated issues. Boys have penis, girls have vagina. You're pretty good at mental gymnastics too. You really hurt your legacy. I don't think she really hurt her legacy, but I do think that she probably expected more support than she actually got. I think this is what happens when you stay inside your bubble. You don't see anything else. So if you have like your group of 10, 15 people you talk to every day and you all have your same views, you're going to assume your view is popular to the world. That's why it's good to expose yourself to it. Like I'm on X a lot because I get liberal stuff, conservative stuff. On my TikTok, I get liberal stuff, conservative stuff. I'm constantly seeing a bunch of different things. And I think some people get so trapped in their bubble, they don't realize how unpopular their view actually is, because this is like an 80-20 issue. Democrats are trying to say Republicans are crazy for this, but like 80% of people agree with this issue with Riley Gaines, not Simone Biles. And I think with the backlash, she wasn't expecting that it kind of made her cave in to apologize. I don't think it's genuine. I think she's just trying to recover herself from everything she started the past few days. And you see Riley comments back, I accept Simone's apology for the personal attacks, including the ones where she body shamed me. I know she knows what this feels like. She's still the greatest female gymnast of all time. A couple of things. Sports are inclusive by nature. Anyone can and everyone should play sports. Competition, on the other hand, by definition, is exclusive. So the idea of competitive equity is nonsensical. Secondly, the boys are publicly humiliating the girls. To suggest that women and girls must be silent or ignore a boy who is publicly hurting or humiliating them is wrong. You can't have any empathy and compassion for the girls if you're ignoring when young men are harming or abusing them. I am not ashamed to be the voice for the voiceless. Lastly, I agree with you in that the blame is on the lawmakers and leaders at the top, precisely why I'm suing the NCAA and support candidates who vow to stand with women. That's why I joined Donald Trump at the signing of his executive order. I didn't see you there or championing championing this effort with your platform. Women's sports can't be used as an excuse for girls to center the feelings and validation of men and boys. I welcome you to fight to support fair sports and a future for female athletes. Little girls deserve the same shot to achieve that you had. So she accepted the apology, but she still pointed out flaws into her thinking. I still think the apology that Simone Biles gave was fake, but I still think that Riley Gaines genuinely accepted her apology. It might be because she's fanboying over her, fangirling, whatever you want to call it. But, it seems like the public spat between them is over. I don't think anything's really going to change. I think Simone will probably go into hiding a little bit, whereas Riley's probably going to just keep doing what she's doing. But I don't think, like, this is the thing. People like her, Simone, are just really out of touch with this issue, but she thinks she knows about it, so she chimes on in without knowing really anything about it. And then the backlash just comes right at you. So I do think that was really dumb of her to do that. And I hope, like, people on the left will downplay this issue and be like, oh, nobody really cares. This is a big part why they lost the election, because they downplay this issue, and they continue to downplay this issue. Like, Eric Swalwell was on Piers Morgan, and that same video, highly recommend you watch it. And he's basically saying, oh, this isn't a big deal. Bro, did you not see the outcome last year? I get there's other stuff going on in the world, but this is important. The everyday Americans aren't focused on the LA fires because they don't live in LA. They're not focused on Ukraine because they don't live in Ukraine. They're not focused on these stuff. This stuff affects them, their everyday lives. If someone's playing sports against their daughter, someone's going to the bathroom with their daughter in a public place, this stuff affects them more than all these other issues that you as a lawmaker are focusing on. And that's where the out of touchness really is. So I hope this issue keeps being brought up, because it's such a common sense issue. And the fact that it's like gone this far and people are still fighting it, I think is just absolutely insane. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about the whole Simone Riley beef, if you guys think Simone's apology was genuine. And tell me who you think won this feud. Like, comment, subscribe down below, and I'll see you next time.